Hey everyone, Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, three-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devils podcast with Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony, the Uncle Puckers. Let's go Devils!
Keeps the puck alive, ball shoots it, bouncing in front, rebounds, fast! Curtis Lazar throws it to the front, and the Devils lead!
Unbelievable as it looked like this game was going to overtime. And what a great rush right from the neutral zone by Michael McLeod. Kevin Ball makes sure he gets it through. It's a dirty goal in front.
And that's all it took, a dirty goal in front from Mr. Curtis Lazar. Dan, what's up, buddy?
What is going on? A very exciting Devil win tonight.
Yeah, it really was. There was a lot going on in that game, man. They completely looked like poop in the second frame. They let three in that period.
That was the good, the bad, and the ugly kind of game.
Most certainly. I do have let's talk about it, Bo. That's huge. Second win in a row. The team comes back from 2 goals down, of course, on the back of who else? Hughes and Hischier. And yeah, just what a third period, man. They played Devils hockey in the third.
Yes. Yeah. A very good third period after, disastrous second period. We saw a similar collapse to their last loss of 3 goals in, quick succession, just letting the game get out of hand, just missed defensive assignments. And it was really looking bad, down 2 goals. But yeah, you're right. They definitely tightened up in the third. And you see how when the chips are down, you really can't win too many games, or you're not going to win enough games without Hughes and Hischier, because they were gigantic tonight.
Yeah, they really were. They played their asses off. It was a fun game to watch. But in that second period, though, I was really nervous. I thought there was no way they were coming back. You could see it just in their body language on the ice. They're like shoulders were slumped, and they just
looked so disappointed. We did it again.
Yeah,
we did it.
How the hell did this happen again?
Yeah.
But the 20 minutes, and then Hischier taking the lead, right? That was the go-ahead goal. That was the tying goal.
Right.
Hischier's easiest goal I think he's ever scored in the NHL. Beautiful on a 4-on-3 at the time. And they just kept pushing and pushing. It was a fun game. They got the 2 points, and that's the other thing. It's like, all right, you battled back. Yeah, you're still going to give a point to the Islanders, though. You have to get that second one.
I know. That was the first thing I said when I watched that winning goal and 20 seconds left. It's like, fuck you. You don't even get a point, Islanders.
Yeah, and I love it. I love it. Yeah. And the Islanders played a good game.
They did, and they're a good team, but,
But to not give them the 2 points to a team that you have to catch, you have to jump over them at some point. I'm not sure. I think we're like 4 or 5 points behind them, and I think they have a game in hand, but not anymore. This was, pretty much a 4-point swing. We stopped them from getting points, and we grabbed 2. And we could do the same thing Thursday night against a pretty decent Philadelphia Flyer team right now.
I would say an unexpectedly decent. I mean, everybody was calling for them to be one of the worst teams in the league, with laughably no chance at doing anything. But they've actually had a pretty good start, all in all, considering.
So, that was the good. 2 games and 2 wins in a row. Things are looking good. Being able to battle back the way they did. It was fun to watch. Again, a lot of shit that they have to clean up defensively, which brings me to a question of something that we were discussing a little bit before we went on, and I don't have an answer for this right now.
Right.
Was Dougie Hamilton benched, or was he injured?
I honestly don't know either. I feel like we will have an answer at some point tomorrow. Maybe people can, review the game. The game just ended, so it's kind of a hot take, but I am leaning towards him being benched. And I'm still not 100% sure, but I will tell you that I would have understood if he was benched. He did not have one of his best games, and let's just look what you do when this team's falling apart with these, multiple goal giveaways in a short amount of time, like the last loss we had and this game tonight. They pulled Vanacek, and that I think nobody thought that the game was his fault. No, those goals were his fault.
Well, I think that at least 2 of them were his fault, especially the first one. I thought the
Which
first
one, Barzal?
The first, I know
the
he
breakaway
was going,
goal.
No, not the breakaway goal. The breakaway goal he had no chance on. The first goal, I don't know if it was Barzal or it was Shit, I can't even remember his name right now. I'm exhausted. But anyway, the first goal, it was the power play goal, and I think that Vanacek had to get. He had, he went over. He had to go side to side, but he still had enough time, and it just went under his arm. Like, it just was one of those goals that he has to make. I'm not saying it was an easy save at all, but he has to make that save. And
I was looking at the 3 in a row too, and that's what led him to get pulled. And I didn't really see an issue with them.
Well, I think
I understood the pulling, and my larger point was it's very similarly like maybe if we're going to have a problem with some defensive breakdowns team wide, a move can be benching a very high profile, high value defenseman because he's not doing the job. So maybe that sends a message. Maybe that's part of the turnaround in the third. I don't know if he was intentionally benched.
He's definitely not doing his job. I mean, he has been playing poorly. Now, here's the thing. When a guy is usually injured and doesn't come back out to the bench, Bill Spaulding is very quick to say, Nico Hischier hasn't returned to the bench yet. He has said, he makes sure that you say, and whether it's an injury, most of the time they'll say, we don't know what happened. It might have been on this play here, and they'll show you something that happened. And they look for it.
Taped or look for it. Yeah.
Right. None of that have happened. And the only thing Spaulding said was Dougie Hamilton has yet to get back on the ice, which to me makes me sound like he was on the bench and sitting there. Now, I didn't see him on the bench, but also I wasn't really looking because it was a fun, exciting game going on.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even think about it until we got later in the game. Like, what is going on with him, and where is he? I didn't know if he went. Usually, they would tell you if you start. Let's say he started the third on the bench, and then went in. Usually, they'll make mention of that too.
Yeah, like
somebody
is first
on the
shift
broadcast, or that he's headed to the bench or headed to the locker room. They usually mention that.
Right, if he leaves.
So I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to get some details on that because
I think as a rewatch, it will also get out what happened here. I'm curious.
And the other thing that I'm going to say is I know Vanacek played pretty well against the Sabres. Now, they only had 11 or 12 shots on goal, whatever it was. But if you look at the Columbus Blue Jacket game, the Detroit Red Wing game, the game against the Sabres, and tonight,
yeah, those numbers are not good.
And Akira Schmid has been playing better in that span.
Right. They flashed an interesting stat that Schmid is something like 980 something save percentage when coming in relief, like some insanely high
he's
save
really
percentage.
Good at that.
Yeah, and that's great. It's interesting. I think one of them said, "Oh, he's like a closer," and like. Well, that's nice and all, but this is not baseball pitching, and we're talking about, and so he needs to, play an entire game. And
also, what does it say about our starting goaltenders that this guy
exactly
comes in off the bench so much?
Well, yeah, and I honestly feel like that this game was not the problem with this game was not the goaltending, and in general with this team, the problem has not been the goaltending. I would love to upgrade goaltending because I'm not saying we have the best in the league, and I think that could help pull some wins, turn a couple of the losses we had into wins. But realistically, ask yourself how many, if you had the best possible goaltending, that you can realistically expect in the league right now, how many of our losses really would have been turned into wins because of that? I mean, I think there's a few there, but
it's tough to say because here's the thing. It's almost impossible to say. If you look at just strictly would one goaltender have made this save as opposed to Vanacek or Schmid didn't make that save, you can't really do that. But are there a lot of other goaltenders in the league that are capable of making that big save? That when maybe you're down a goal and just one goal, this guy comes up huge, and then you see what the team does, and they take that, they run with that energy, and they tie the game up. We're not getting that this year. So we're down by 1. We need our goalie to step up, and here we go. We're down by 2. Like, okay, dude, you're not. Yeah. I understand that not every goal is a terrible goal, and the goaltenders also can't. But
there's a timing factor of you got to come up with a huge one that you're not really expected to do when we need it once in a while. Yeah. And that could have happened tonight. That's why I was not against the benching of Vanacek. I just also feel like I understood what happened with that, but it's more to reset the team than anything.
Yeah, I agree.
From a technical point, that it wasn't like he let in those 3 goals. Oh, this guy's definitely cracked. No, but you know what? You're right. He could have maybe stopped the bleeding with an unbelievable save on 1 or 2 of them. That would have helped maybe the slide before it got so out of hand to let 3 in a row in and put us 2 goals behind. But yeah, I mean, I guess they're still figuring it out. I am very concerned about this team's ability to just let in a bunch of goals in a short period of time and turn an otherwise good game, into a giant hole. They dug out tonight, and they have the firepower to do it more often than most teams do, to be in that kind of hole, let 3 quick ones in and still win a game. But I don't think that's a formula for long-term success. So I'm hoping this is a step in the right direction instead of just repeating like earlier in the season when we're going to win 5-4 games.
I agree. And you're right. And the way you won on Saturday, that's the recipe for success. That's how you win in this league.
Yeah,
and that's how you
control the whole game.
Yeah. And you control the whole game. But it's good to know that when you don't have that game, or you're playing against an opponent like the Islanders, who are very good defensively, who are going to take a lot of those things away from you, that right. Buffalo didn't, you still found a way to win. But I want to go real quick just to kind of put a button on the goalie thing. Sure. It also, to your point, like, okay, Vanacek starts the game, he has 18 shots, he makes 14 saves. Akira Schmid, in the time that he was in, only faced 9 shots. The team tightened up once Akira Schmid got in. So whatever Vanacek, whatever they were looking for by pulling Vanacek, they absolutely got. It worked.
Yes.
Like, that's the perfect example of what happens when you pull a goalie, whether or not he was having a good night, a bad night, or you just want to, like you said, reset the team. This was a perfect example of it. The team tightened up once he got on the ice. And that happens a lot when Akira Schmid gets taken in. Very rarely do you see the bleeding continue when he gets put in for Vanacek.
That's true. At some point, some of that credit's got to go to Schmidt. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is like, you were saying, it's just giving the team a wake-up call that hopefully they answer. And they did tonight, so that worked out. I just wondered if, by a similar token, they sat Hamilton because, he did look pretty bad on defensively, kind of has of late, but especially this game, he made some glaring errors. And he looked very lackluster, and a couple of those goals, he didn't even look like he was himself,
No, I agree. I want to see if there's anything on the news. It says here, no, this is, what the hell?
Found something on a game from last year?
Yeah, like last year.
You ever look up something like that? Now. You're like, really? This is interesting. Oh, this is last year.
Yeah. When did he get surgery on his wrist? Oh, that was last year. Nice. Yeah, so it doesn't say anything yet. But he's got to step it up. He definitely, he was on the ice for, I think, 3 of the 4 or all 4 of the 4. Dougie Hamilton, I know he's not. I know that he's here for his offense, but you cannot be that big of a liability on the blue line.
No, absolutely not. There's bad communication still. There's this, I don't know what it is. They're not covering each other.
Him and
Siegenthaler
together is a bad pair.
Right. And, there were a couple times I see, like, I feel like the forwards are unsure of what the system is of when they're supposed to cover, when they're not.
Now, what is that? Like, is that a communication thing on the ice? Is that something behind
I think it's
the bench?
both.
What is that?
I think it's like, what they practice and train for is not addressing what really happens on the ice. And there's like some kind of disconnect there. And they look genuinely confused. Palat on that one play where I think it was the last Islander goal. He looked so frustrated, and he looked like, maybe I'm reading into it, but he looked like this is not how it was supposed to go. He was like coming late to try to cover,
Right.
And I feel like, there's got to be some reason why this keeps happening, where we have this breakdowns in coverage. It's got to be a communication or system. There's too many talented people. You could say Hamilton's never been a, stay-at-home defensive defenseman. Come on, we're past that. It's just glaring errors of coverage.
Right, absolutely.
And it's team-wide. But, by maybe sitting a big name that you don't expect to sit, somebody like Hamilton, maybe that sends the message too, just as much as pulling the goaltender. If indeed that's what happened, we might find out tomorrow that Hamilton suffered an injury or something that, sometimes you don't see those things.
Well, I mean, he was benched, I think, a couple games ago for
That's true.
some of the third period. So that already happened. I think that might have been the Detroit game. Um, but it would be par for the course if he was injured, because that's what happens every game. We just lose somebody. So,
Yeah.
if it's Hamilton this time, okay, we'll keep doing what we have to do. And, maybe you get Simone Nemec up at some point, which,
Yep.
Probably wouldn't happen. Brendan Smith would probably just get moved back down to D. Let's talk real quick about Luke Hughes. This dude's quietly becoming a very good defenseman.
I
mean,
know.
he's
I expected
really
more
solid
mistakes. I expected more mistakes from him this year than we've had so far. So really impressed with it. I knew we were going to see some of the amazing skating and scoring ability, and we have. But I think what's even more encouraging right now is that his defense is evolving to be like very solid. We're getting much fewer mistakes than you would regularly get from a rookie defenseman, and that's an excellent thing because he's so incredibly talented. He's got such great reads on plays. It's I don't know if we've had a defenseman like him since Rafalski or Niedermeyer in terms of like vision and seeing the ice. And by the end of his career, I don't know who we're going to compare him to. He might be in a class by himself. We'll find out.
Well, 2 or 3 years, man. This guy's really, I think, gonna take the league by storm. I mean, it's always takes a little bit longer for defensemen to get there. Look what his brother's doing. I mean, look what Quinn Hughes is doing in Vancouver. I mean, he's having a friggin' career year, leading the league. Definitely gonna, looks like a Norris Trophy candidate. Nobody really thought that Quinn Hughes was going to be that guy, and he has become. Guys think that the scouts, they all think that Luke Hughes is going to become that guy. So if he even turns out like Quinn Hughes this year, then we're in for a treat. But I think he can be better. I agree with you. Who are we going to compare him to at the end? I mean, right now, Cale Makar is the epitome of what an amazing defenseman is. I mean, he is just so much fun to watch. I see Luke Hughes in a couple of years being up there with him.
I know it's probably that ship has sailed, but you wonder if the NHL might, entice the Hughes family to produce a few more children just for the future. They seem to have pretty good DNA matchup when it comes to producing NHL players. I mean, that's an incredibly unheard of thing to have 3 so highly talented siblings in the NHL. I mean, we've had brothers, and we've even had 3, but we've never had 3 really at this level. This is a pretty amazing thing.
Maybe. The Stalls, there were 3 of them, right? Jordan, Mark, and Eric.
Right.
Yeah, they were the 3.
That's probably the best call there. Yeah, but I think these guys are set to outpace them.
Oh yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
These guys are really amazing, and I really do think Luke Hughes is just going to be a fantastic player for this Devil team for a really long time. But I do think that they're going to have to do something on D. They're going to have to make a trade. We are not going to get very far even if we limp into the playoffs the way we're playing right now. We'll be out in the first round. Like, if we are really going to be serious, we have to make a move. Something's got to get done. And it's got to get done kind of soon.
Do you think it's definitely 100% personnel, or do you think that we need a better defensive system, whether it's a defensive coach with a different line on things, or somebody's got to get through to Lindy about a different system than he's been playing to some extent, or alter the system? I mean, because the reason I ask is I agree with you that I would like to change out at least one defenseman, but I don't know if that's going to solve the problem. I'm wondering if the problem's bigger than just a one move. Like, if we were to trade for one good defenseman, do you think that solves the Devils' defensive woes?
I don't think it solves it, but I think it definitely helps it. I just think that right now we have, if you look at our defenseman, I think Marino is now starting to play good.
Yes, and that's a good thing.
I think that Luke Hughes is playing good. We do see still some of those rookie mistakes, but they're fine. You live with that. He's a very good guy back there. So you don't want to touch Luke. You don't want to touch Marino. I really like what Colin Miller's been doing, even though he did not get a lot of ice time in the third. So I don't know what.
Yeah, it was one play where he kind of was, you could picked up on his mistake that led to a goal.
Okay,
so it wasn't his best night, but overall, I agree.
During the second period, so I kind of like
overall, I do think he's been pretty steady, and I was happier to see him playing D than Smith, to be quite honest. Who I should say had a very good third period and showed that grit and toughness. And here we are looking at a Devils comeback win. I think that grit and toughness had a lot to do with tonight's win. I think it was great the way, he's looking to hit. That puts the Islanders on their toes, delivers a nice, good, clean, hard hit. Maybe not quite as explosive as Scott Stevens hit, but it really reminded me of one with that shoulder. And then stood up for himself on that with taking a hit and getting into the fight.
I want to bring something up because that hit, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Andrews Lee took exception to it, went after Brandon Smith, and Andrews Lee should have been grateful that Brandon Smith didn't take his fucking head off. And because Smith had him lined up, and he could have, and he laid off on him. He separated man from puck. He did his job. He laid a hit, and it was a good, like you said, a good clean hit. It was hard, but it was just enough to get the purpose. I separated man from puck, and now he goes after the puck.
Yeah,
Jacob
he could have drove into it more.
Exactly.
Jacob Trouba does that thing when he lines him up. He's trying to look for the I don't know how you want to term it. It's almost like the uppercut where you just bend at the knees a little bit before you dive the shoulder and pop it. And that definitely adds a little extra to it, and that's what he's trying to do. Where you can look at that, and go, yeah, what he wants to do. And then, of course, when he's swinging a stick two-handed, no doubt about his intent to injure.
Which apparently
you're right.
The NHL is not going to do anything other than find him a price of a 1992 Toyota Accord or Toyota Camry, rather. Sorry,
that's
$5,000.
Ridiculous.
That's it.
It's ridiculous. I can't believe that. Is this the final decision? Are we aware of that?
I'm pretty sure.
Wow, that's amazing because that is obviously a two-handed whack. Bobby brought up a very good point, which I didn't even have at the top of my mind about Niedermayer receiving, what was it, 20 game suspension. Now, he swung a stick at a guy's head, but I'll be honest with you, it didn't have the same velocity and out of nowhere situation as Niedermayer's did. But my recollection was more like over the top kind of thing. And anyway you look at it, it's bad to be swinging the stick at heads. I was, as a Devil fan, it's a bummer about losing Niedermayer for 20 games, but oh well, I get it. And I can't believe the NHL wants this. And like I said last time, on the heels of an intent to injure play turning the worst possible scenario with a death. That's what happened in another league, admittedly. And all the attention that just got with the horrible incident there. I mean, how do you let this kind of thing go? I don't get it.
And I was listening to XM the day before, whenever, and one of the hosts, Boomer, said, if I'm Jacob Trouba, I send $15,000 to the NHL and I say, all right, now I have 2 already in the bag, so I'm just going to go and take people's heads off, because that's all you're encouraging this dude to do is keep on playing the way he plays, which is, look, Jacob Trouba is a dirty player. He is. He's always has been. Look, everybody loves seeing a huge hit in the middle of the ice. It's exciting. It's fun. I don't like the aftermath of seeing a guy laying there and is like a dude in his 23 years old with his whole life in front of him, and he's laying there. You don't even know if this guy's going to fucking walk after, knocked out cold, head injuries, everything else. I'd much rather see what Brendan Smith did today. Did a nice hard hit. Nobody got hurt. You eliminated the man from the puck. You moved on. You won the game. That was the most important part. That's just my personal taste. I think people like Jacob Trouba, look, sometimes guys have their head down. They're getting lined up. You lay into them. I get it. It's part of the game. But when you're a dude like Trouba, and now you're at a point where you're swinging sticks because you have zero retaliation. Nobody does anything. Nobody in the league really takes you to task. The NHL in Toronto just finds you a few bucks. Guy makes like $8 million, $9 million a year, whatever he makes. You just find him $5,000.
It's nothing.
Right. It literally is nothing. It's like me and you going up to a 3-year-old kid, kicking him in the face, and a cop coming over and going, here's your fine, and it's $5. Like, seriously, that's it. But
in which case I would kick a lot more children in the face.
Exactly. That's my whole point.
I mean, it's really just a $5,000 fine, disproportionately. So that is keep me away from it.
I don't like players like that. Scott Stevens also played in a completely different time. I don't want to hear Devil fans or Ranger fans be like, "Oh, you're a big Scott Stevens fan." You're goddamn right, I'm a big Scott Stevens fan. But that was a huge part of the game back then. It's not anymore. Big open ice hits. They don't happen a lot.
If it looks like the NHL wants to get rid of them to some extent, and they don't know how. And the truth is, when Trouba or anybody else throws an open ice hit, I get it. Sometimes we ascribe these intentions because of the way they do it, but is it still within the rules? If it's a hit within the rules, it's a hit within the rules. When it comes to, popping up, there is a limit. You can't leave your feet. That would be charging, but it's in the rules to maybe deliver a hit that could injure and intend to do that. And that's something, if the NHL wants to eliminate, they're going to have to change the rules. These other things that, truly dirty plays that are intent to injure, whether it's even something subtle like slew foots or something insane like two-handed chops, those are clearly against the rules. And you move all the rules to the side when you ignore them like this. And that's what's bad.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, because they will have effect on things more than just swinging your stick with two hands. It's not just that. Guys who want to play a dirty game have been validated to keep it up. And this is what's, the NHL says they want to clean up the game. They want to make it safer for players and, less of a sideshow circus. But
I don't want them to change the rules. All right. Jacob Trouba has made a living and has perfected how to hit within the rules and administer as much damage as possible. He knows how to do that. My whole thing is because, and I don't want that to change. I'm okay with that because the rules are meant to kind of keep people a little bit safe. Like you just said, you're not supposed to lead with your feet. You have to lead with your shoulder. Jacob Trouba and some other dudes have a way of just starting with the shoulder and, like you said, popping up with that helmet like an uppercut, and that's what takes these dudes out. They can do that. Don't change the rules. That's just a player. There are going to be players that do that. I think there are a lot less players in the NHL that do hit like that now. So eventually it will be out of the game for the most part. And it kind of is already. That's my point. But when you don't do something, when somebody swings, a two-handed chop to the head and you don't do anything, like you said, you're inviting disaster.
Yep. There will be more of this, unfortunately.
Yeah, it really is stupid. But back to the Devils. Well, actually, before we get going with that, let's give a little shout out to our Hockey Podcast Network sponsors here. And we'll start with DraftKings.
The kings of all draft.
They are.
Hey, before you get into that, I noticed another sportsbook ad watching the broadcast tonight had Peyton Manning as one of their sponsors. And I realized that Peyton Manning has like a Sean Connery kind of S sound to the way he speaks. So it was like, Sheezers. And he's standing there.
Like a whistler? A little?
It's like, the S becomes a shush sound and like Sean Connery, But he's just that's the sponsor. It's got two S's in it. It really didn't work out. It was the one time he's standing there next to Eli. It's the one time that Eli looked way smarter than his brother. And I love that. That was pretty good. But
I didn't see that one.
Well, in the end, it's all about DraftKings, though, isn't it?
They are the world's biggest sports book. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, sure. Why not? You said it. It's got to be true.
For our purposes here, sure. Bet all the action on the ice with the DraftKings Sportsbook. You can download the app now and use code THPN. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting $5 on hockey. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net in New York. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dknj.com/hockey for eligibility, deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2023. All rights reserved.
Nice. Chris, how was your Cyber Monday?
My Cyber Monday, Dan, was terrible.
Nobody cares how your Cyber Monday was. Because right now at Raycon, they got 20 to 50% off everything site-wide. You don't have to wait for Cyber Monday, Black Friday, or any other bullshit the world is trying to get you to focus on these 2 days. Raycon says no. Every day is a great day to get their everyday earbuds. They're known for delivering high-quality, thoughtful features like a 32-hour battery life and a perfect in-ear fit for all-day wear and lasting comfort. This past year, they expanded their entire business with the introduction of 2 inexplicable products. First, their 5-star reviewed Magic 180 cable allows you to charge iOS micro USB Type-C devices 8 times faster with 100-watt power delivery. So if you got one of these things without its own charger, you don't care. You got your own charger in the Magic 180 cable. So that's not where they stop. Oh, no. They go on to the faucet filter. It's an ultra filter that filters the water in your tap against chlorine and heavy metals, a must-have for ensuring the water you use is actually clean. To get everyone in the holiday shopping spirit, Raycon's currently offering 20% off everything on their site with select products up to 50% off. Hurry now to buyraycon.com/THPN to get 20 to 50% off site-wide. That's buyraycon.com/THPN to score up to 50% off Raycon products. Buyraycon.com/THPN.
Thank you, Raycon.
Thank you.
Thank you, DanCon.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to rename that company.
We should, to DanCon. Yeah. So, okay, there's a little bit of bad. There's some shit that needs to get cleaned up. There's, but
sure.
There's some good, right? 2 in a row, Dan.
It's a good thing. It's been the first time in a while since 2 in a row wins, and it would have been a huge backslide. Think about it. I mean, they go down in the third there. You're thinking that, boy, that one win is a blip, and we're looking at a season of win 1, lose 2, in that kind of pace. Right now, they're turning it around. It's a huge win. I'm very, very happy that this could be what really does save them. If they can string a couple wins together, get some room to play better defense, it's going to be very good to see that turnaround.
They got a tough game, like we said, Thursday night against the Flyers. And then we see our old buddy Mackenzie Blackwood, look, San Jose isn't going anywhere. Would you be against Tom Fitzgerald?
Don't ask him to come back here. Please don't do this.
You know how good he's playing right now? Do you know how good he's playing right now?
If he comes back, I'm not going to watch any more games.
Would you not be a Devil fan anymore?
No, I would watch. I got to watch the shit show. I just can't imagine it's going to happen, right? Would you be in favor of this? Despite whatever numbers he's got right now at San Jose, would you?
I mean, he has a team with absolutely no defense. But do you have our guys' numbers near you at all?
No, but they're not good. I know that. I've looked at them. I don't remember exactly what we're at.
So he only has 3 wins on the season, and his goals against is 3.6, but his save percentage is .902, right. Which is better than all of our guys. He's seeing more shots than any goalie in the NHL. He really is right now the San Jose Sharks' best player. And no, of course not. Absolutely not. In no way, shape, or form do I want Mackenzie Blackwood in a New Jersey Devil uniform ever again. But I am happy to see that he's doing well.
You know what,
I really am.
This is the situation that I call, though. Yeah, no, I am happy for him, too. I agree with that. And there was a lot I liked about him. And if you recall, I definitely wanted everything to work out with Mackenzie Blackwood.
You hated him. You were hoping that he lost his job, that he went broke, and he was sucking off dudes underneath a fucking bridge for crack. That's what you said.
Well, he might have ended that way, but that's not what I wanted. No, in fact, to be honest, I spent, a year or two defending him, mostly to you. That's one area we did not agree. That, and I was saying similar things that I'm saying now about our guys, which is he was not the main problem of that team as things were falling apart. But, the team had moved on to some better goaltending, and what I didn't like about last year was that we were basically, getting in the way of moving on with better goaltending. And every time they brought him out, it was another, back injury or just flat out bad performance. So it didn't seem like it was worth continuing on. I was hoping they would make a move to get rid of him before the trade deadline so that we could get something from him. But, I do wish him well. And I know he's got amazing. Any player who can play in NHL is amazingly talented. I knew he was talented in a way. But I will say that some of his numbers that look great, it's kind of like the Curtis Joseph effect,
Right.
You need somebody who can win when you have a good team. I'm not saying we got those guys, but I can tell you that Blackwood was given a better team in time, and he didn't do as well numbers wise. So when you're getting peppered with shots and are responding the best you can, the numbers might be better than like the situations that we're providing. They're like these defensive breakdowns. I'm telling you, one of these like prime Devil giveaways is worth, 10, 15 shots that from a reasonable area of the ice. So many of our defensive breakdowns are leaving the goalies no chance. And that's why I'm not surprised to see a save percentage, higher on Blackwood than these guys. Now, I don't know what chances San Jose has been giving up. I got to imagine they've been giving up some really bad defensive breakdowns too, but I wouldn't be surprised if we looked at them that the type of chances we're given are worse than the type of chances they're giving.
No, I agree with you. There is a rumor kind of circulating, and I have no idea if there's any substance to it or if it will even get legs and ever actually become something. So I guess that's the same thing. But the Boston Bruins might possibly be shopping Jeremy Swayman.
I saw the chatter on that. It's hard to believe, right? He's got insane numbers and a long career ahead of him. Why are they shopping him?
Well, I think
what's
a big
the theory
part of
there?
it, well, because look, they've been on a bit of a slide the last 2 or 3 games. I think what we thought about Boston, I think that their management sees. I think they look at this team and they say we're really good defensively and we're a really good team, but we are not strong enough down the middle to compete with the big boys. And we start getting into slides. We are just not strong enough in that spot. And I think that worries them. So, okay, who can we possibly get? We're going to need maybe more than one dude who, if we can get a couple of forwards, but who are we giving up? They don't have anybody in a prospect pool. It's only pretty much those guys. I think that's why they're saying Swayman.
That seems like such a horrible place to be to trade away who looks like he could turn out to be your franchise goaltender.
It happens all the time, but some, they're in a win now mode. They want to win. And if they feel that they need center help to win, then maybe you do it. If you feel that Linus Ullmark can get you all the way.
That's the part that I don't feel.
I think Swayman's a better goalie too.
Ullmark had great numbers last year, and was he our Vezina winner? I think he was, right? Yeah, he was. Yep. So, I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but he could not save that team in the playoffs. He was not part of the solution at all. It wasn't like he had great numbers through the playoffs either. So, I would be thinking, no, I'm not giving up. If I've given up a goaltender, it would not be Swayman. But what do I know?
But if they are shopping Swayman, I think the LA Kings would probably swipe in and make a deal quickly if they were actually thinking about shopping Swayman. And I think that Boston would be quicker to do it with LA as opposed to the team
West
in the
Coast
East.
Team. Yeah.
But if they were shopping Swayman and you have the talent pool and the depth that the Devils have within their organization, do you put a package together that Boston can't say no to? And it might include a guy or two that is on our lineup right now.
Well, there ain't too many guys on the lineup right now.
What if they want Dawson Mercer?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, he's had a rough start, but you see him coming alive right now. He was big tonight, and you see what a great upside he has. I know Swayman has a big upside.
Okay,
he hasn't proven it yet, though.
But if right now that was what you'd have to give up to get Jeremy Swayman, And, of course, some prospects, some guys in Utica. But your main dude is Dawson Mercer. He's the main guy on that fucking trade.
I'm leaning towards yes, but I'm not very happy about this choice. I don't feel like it's an easy answer.
It's definitely not an easy answer. And a good trade is usually not an easy answer. It's usually upsetting to both teams, but you're getting back something that each team desperately needs. Now, he is a natural centerman, so he can help them in that spot.
It makes sense for Boston that way, at least.
And I think he's a better winger than a center, but he's still a center. And he's a great player. And I think but I do think I'd like to I'd at least love to know what Bob and Tone think about this, but I would do it. I would pull the trigger on it.
If I had to guess, they wouldn't do it, but I'm only barely not with, where I think they would do it. Not, but what I'm trying to say is it's such a tough call. I don't think both of them and me would also everybody agree to do it. Would you do it?
I would do it. I would do it. Man. Look,
Swayman's not proven yet, really. I love his numbers. And
Dawson Mercer.
I know. And if I had Swayman on my team, I would say he's not proven, but he's damn promising. So I would really not want to get rid of him. Don't get me wrong. I do want him. But so you think that you could see a move later on where Swayman is a league-leading top goaltender, and Mercer never gets past like a 20-goal season or something like that, right?
I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to say something else right now that I think every Devil fan would think I'm fucking crazy about. But I will tell you the truth. But I didn't bring this guy up because I know there's no way in hell we would ever move him. But I would actually be more in favor with giving Boston Jesper Bratt for Swayman.
Wow. Yeah, I understand. I understand that too. There's parts of the season last year when Bratt went away. He's gone away again. He now, I think when they were signing him in the offseason, we were like, oh, that's a big contract. Awesome. What we're trying to look at it positively is like maybe that gets all that out of his system and he's not going to go away anymore. He's going away sometimes. So you're right. I mean, you pay for Bratt all year, but how often do you get him? Do you get him even 3/4 of the season? I don't think so.
And I think Dawson Mercer, because look, regular season, of course, it's important, but all the guys that we're talking about now, they're going to either be made in the playoffs or they're not. Like, that's it. Like, this team now is the next 5 or 6 years ahead of them to literally try and go compete for a Stanley Cup. Certain dudes are going to have to be huge parts of cup runs and deep playoff runs. And I see Dawson Mercer being that guy before Jesper Bratt being that guy.
Very well be. I always looked at Jesper Bratt. Something about his game kind of reminded me a little bit of Patrick Elias, but a lot of things don't. And, Elias is that he had that relentless work ethic.
Yep.
And that's the biggest part that's different.
Patrick Elias is like the best parts of Jesper Bratt mixed with the best parts of Hughes Hischier. That was Patrick Elias.
That is a dead-on excellent call. That is very, very true. I mean, that's where Elias was, his franchise. And, there was a lot I was glad to see him as more of a vocal centerpiece of the Devils last year when, Hughes is taking the record for him. He was like made a statement about it, and it was very cool. I wonder how many like newer Devil fans realize that's a dead on call. He's got Hughes Hischier's two-way game, leadership, tenacity, fight, grit to be a leader. And then he's also got Bratt's hands and amazing skating.
Absolutely.
He could do it all. Yeah.
He was one of the best.
Special player. Yeah, absolutely.
And I see Dawson Mercer being a dude that come playoff time is going to give you that hard work and compete, give you those dirty, grimy goals. I see Jesper Bratt shrinking in a corner somewhere. That's just how. And look, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm just going by what I saw last year. And that's all I could possibly go by. But if we go into the playoffs this year and Jesper Bratt fucking disappears again, Tom Fitzgerald blew it by signing this dude for 8 years.
I agree with you. The signing, it gave me pause this year too, because I think before he was signed, remember we were talking about what offseason moves would you do, would you not do? And I was all for getting rid of Brad.
Yeah.
I did not love his performance in the playoffs. I thought it was a big reason, maybe the most disappointing Devil in that playoff run. Not maybe, definitely. He was the most disappointing Devil. There were a lot of other guys who had great series despite going out in the second round. He was not one of them. He didn't have a good first round, and he didn't have a good second round. He was basically absent from the playoffs.
So, yeah, I would do that. Now, I know that Jesper Bratt is not going to get traded. Tom Fitzgerald just signed the guy. He's not going to move him. But I do think he would pull the trigger on Dawson Mercer for a guy like Swayman. But then again, it could just be rumors. Boston also knows that, here's the thing, though. To really win a Stanley Cup, you do only need the one guy. You really kind of got to have one guy that you are confident in can go and do it. If Boston feels that Ullmark is that guy, I don't. And I think that if they got rid of Swayman, you would see Ullmark's numbers dip big time, because I think a big reason that Ullmark's numbers are so good is because he's able to only play 40, 45 games as a starter, as your number one. You have another dude that's right there with you, playing equal amounts of time and doing just as well.
I think you articulated really what I don't like about the tandem system. In the playoffs, regardless of this whole theory of we got two goalies, we have two number ones. No, you don't. And I know a couple times in the playoffs they alternated, but they usually settle in at some point where you have the guy. And so, what you're getting is a lot of artificially high numbers. And I hope this isn't going to be the case for Vanacek. We had very good regular season numbers this year, not so much, but we've had a disastrous, defensive system in front of him this year. But look at last year. His numbers regular season were very, very good. What it's all about, though, is the playoffs, isn't it? We were not going to get through the opening round against the Rangers with the play of Vanacek. We had to make a change. I don't think it was all his fault. And, Schmidt filled in there. He won that one. So, it is really weird, but this tandem thing kind of can blow up in your face come playoff time.
It did. It blew up in our face. I mean, we are the perfect example of it blowing up in our face. And
right. Now we need that guy to play, 7 games potentially in 2 weeks, and he's not used to doing that.
Yep. And that's what happened. Look at what happened with Boston. Blew up in their face. I mean, Now I think that they could have gone further if they didn't change anything, because I do think both of those guys are super good. We had said that back when they were knocked out. If they had just kept a steady rotation, I think they would have been fine, except that they leaned on Ullmark, and he's not built for that. We kind of did the same thing with Vanacek at the end of last year. He's not really built for that. We're doing that again now, or at least we were early on in the season. Now, I think the first 10 games of this season, Vanacek absolutely outplayed Schmidt. I don't think that's the case these last 10. I think Schmidt has been the better goalie.
He hasn't had the results necessarily because it's been a really bad stretch, but I think he has been more solid minute for minute. Now, he hasn't had as much chance to, show the potential cracks in that because he hasn't played as much. But you're right. When called upon minute for minute, he's been better in the last 10 games of Vanacek, no doubt.
Now we have back-to-backs coming up, Friday and Saturday against the Flyers and the Sharks. Who do you play and where? Flyers are on the road. San Jose's at home.
The San Jose game is really prime for a letdown. That's why I'm looking at it that way, because you're going to be coming off I think is going to be a slightly more emotional game. You're playing a West Coast team. So, in that situation, I ask myself, which goalie would be better for that? I probably would actually lead with Schmidt, have him play against the Flyers. Part of the reason is, like we were saying, he has been better, but he hasn't been, carrying the same workload as Vanacek. This is, a divisional game. Let's see how Schmidt does in that. This game, I think, will probably be important too, because obviously the defensive mistakes are not gone yet. And let's see how he starts. that stat about him relieving is great and all, but you can't. What is that? What are you going to do with that information?
I agree.
Here's our plan, guys. We'll start at goalie, and then we'll pull him right away. And we got Super Schmidt, who can't start a game. He can only close a game. That's not hockey.
We're going to be the first. We're going to be the first team ever to win a Stanley Cup by actually not just splitting goaltenders throughout the season. We just split them every game.
Exactly.
So Vanacek only plays for a period and a half, and then we'll throw, no matter what the score is, no matter what happens, then we just put Schmidt in.
That is such like a Bush League high school thing to attempt, but I almost think it's warranted right now because you're right. Vanacek has been pretty good on starts of games, and he's not been able to finish them. I don't know. All making all these statements, it's just kind of like I can't even accurately judge it with how crazy the defense has been too.
I would do exactly what you're saying. I would do Vanacek against the Sharks at home on Friday, and I would put Schmidt in on the road. Schmidt tends to play a little bit better on the road too. I don't have numbers that actually back that up. I'm just going by the eye test right now, but I bet that those numbers would back it up, that he has been better on the road this year than he has been at home. So I would put Schmidt in, and exactly for the reason you said, like, look, man, we don't know what we have with either of these two guys right now.
Right.
And I just think, and I do think that if a goalie change is made, I don't think it's going to be Schmidt that's leaving New Jersey. I think that they believe that Schmidt is the future of this team in the next few years. And if you really do believe that, then I think he's got to start getting some starts now. And I think he'll respond. I do. I think Schmidt has what it takes. I don't trust Vanacek right now as the number one, but I kind of feel like Schmidt is ready. Like, give him the ball. Let's see what he can do.
Well, it's ready. I think the team's ready to test him again. I agree with you on that. Whether he takes it, runs with it, we're going to have to see. I really hope he does. I think that he's got the skills. I think that he's got a great demeanor about him. But he didn't start off that way this season. That gave me pause. He didn't look very steady at all. So I'm glad to see these guys game together. You're right. Let's test it out some. Let's see how he does with a start.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. So anything else you want to touch on this evening, Mr. Dan?
That's it.
All right. So, guys, thank you so much for checking us out. We are the Uncle Puckers, our New Jersey Devil podcast. Wherever you're listening to us, give us a like, a 5-star review, a positive comment. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Smash that like button. We appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. And thanks, Jersey Joe, for sending me the opening Curtis Lazar goal.
Jersey Joe coming in clutch.
Came in
remote producer.
Right when awesome. I was hitting, right. He's our remote producer. Thank you, Jersey Joe. And for everybody else, we'll see you on Thursday after the Flyer game for the Puckers. We'll see you when we see you.
Look us out.
Bye-byes. We got to do the bye-byes.
Bye-byes. Bye-byes. Night-night.
It's night-night time.
It's over, Johnny.
It's night-night.
It's over.
Nice.